Can Bitcoin really reach $1 million per coin? It sounds impossible, but if Bitcoin reaches $1 million, it would not happen by magic. There would have to be a massive transformation in the global financial system. So, what exactly would need to happen, and how much money would have to enter Bitcoin? This is CryptoBase, and today we're breaking it down. 1. What does $1 million Bitcoin actually mean? Let's start with the mathematics. Bitcoin has a maximum supply of 21 million coins. If one Bitcoin reaches $1 million, the theoretical maximum market value would be around $21 trillion. That's an enormous number. But here's something important. Bitcoin does not need $21 trillion in new money to reach a $21 trillion market capitalization. Market capitalization is calculated by multiplying the Bitcoin price by the number of coins in circulation. The amount of actual new capital required can be much smaller because the price is determined at the margin by the buyers and sellers trading the available supply. And this brings us to the most important factor: supply. 2. Bitcoin's supply is extremely limited. Unlike traditional currencies, Bitcoin has a hard supply cap. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin, and a large amount of Bitcoin is already held by long-term investors, institutions, companies, and governments. Some Bitcoin has also been permanently lost. That means the amount of Bitcoin actually available for sale can be significantly lower than the total supply. Now imagine demand continuing to increase while available supply remains limited. What happens? Price pressure goes up. This is one of the strongest arguments behind the long-term Bitcoin bull case. 3. Institutional money could be a major driver. Another major factor is institutional adoption. For years, Bitcoin was mainly associated with individual investors and crypto enthusiasts. But that has changed. Large financial institutions are increasingly treating Bitcoin as an investable asset. If pension funds, asset managers, corporations, sovereign wealth funds, and other large institutions continue allocating even a small percentage of their portfolios to Bitcoin, the amount of capital entering the market could become enormous. And if demand keeps increasing while supply remains limited, Bitcoin could potentially experience much higher valuations. 4. Bitcoin would need to compete with gold. Now let's look at another interesting comparison. Gold has been used for thousands of years as a store of value. Bitcoin supporters often call Bitcoin digital gold. Why? Because both assets have scarcity, but Bitcoin has something gold doesn't. It can be transferred globally within minutes, stored digitally, and verified on a public blockchain. If Bitcoin eventually captures a significant portion of the global market for stores of value, its valuation could increase dramatically. And this is where the $1 million scenario starts becoming mathematically interesting. 5. The global economy would have to change. For Bitcoin to reach $1 million and stay there, we would probably need more than a temporary speculative bubble. Bitcoin would need to become deeply integrated into the global financial system. That could mean more countries holding Bitcoin, more companies using Bitcoin as a treasury asset, more institutions offering Bitcoin investment products, more people using Bitcoin as a store of value, and potentially more investors using Bitcoin as protection against currency debasement and inflation. In other words, Bitcoin would need to become much more important than it is today. 6. But there is a major risk. Now let's be realistic. Bitcoin reaching $1 million is not guaranteed. Bitcoin is still a highly volatile asset. Governments can introduce stricter regulations. Institutional demand can slow down. Technological competition can increase. Macroeconomic conditions can change. And investors can simply decide that Bitcoin is overvalued. There is also no guarantee that Bitcoin will become the world's dominant digital store of value. So the $1 million scenario is a possibility, not a promise. 7. What would Bitcoin need to reach $1 million? Let's summarize. For Bitcoin to reach $1 million, we would likely need a combination of several things: limited supply, growing global demand, massive institutional adoption, continued development of Bitcoin infrastructure, greater acceptance from governments and financial institutions, a stronger perception of Bitcoin as digital gold, and potentially a much larger global crypto market. If these forces happen together, Bitcoin could theoretically reach valuations that seem impossible today. Final thought. The real question isn't, can Bitcoin reach $1 million? The better question is, can Bitcoin become valuable enough to justify a $1 million price? At $1 million per Bitcoin, Bitcoin would need to represent a roughly $20 to $21 trillion asset class depending on the circulating supply at that time. That's massive. But remember where Bitcoin came from. It started as an experimental digital currency. Today, it is a globally recognized financial asset. So, will Bitcoin reach $1 million? Nobody knows. But if it does, it won't happen because of one single event. It will happen because millions of investors, institutions, companies, and potentially governments decide that Bitcoin deserves a much larger role in the global financial system. This is CryptoBase. If you want more serious analysis about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the future of digital finance, subscribe to CryptoBase, and remember, don't just follow the price. Understand the technology, the economics, and the market behind it.